This might come as a bit of a surprise to some of you, but Omnism, for me, is not about believing in everyone's gods. Or at least not exactly. In fact, it's really more about trying to figure out what believing in everyone's God means. What their stories and beliefs tell us, regardless of whether I view them as literally true or not. As I often say, it's not necessarily that I believe or disbelieve. It's more that it doesn't matter to me whether they are literally true or not. We can't know for certain, so my faith isn't in the validation or debunking of any given religion, ideology, philosophy, etc. It's about finding what is similar and therefore, to me, more likely to be true. In short, the things which are different in religions are more likely to be culturally motivated, where similar things are more likely to be universal truths. For instance, I might glean from many sets of morals that it's good to treat people well. Everyone tends to agree on that, but not necessarily on what being good is. What constitutes murder may vary from religion to religion and time period to time period and things like that. Many will argue religions are used to control people. Well, yes, of course they are. That doesn't mean the ideologies are positive or negative in and of themselves, but anything can be appropriated. We always have to be aware of when our own beliefs are being used to manipulate us. Because the powerful always use current beliefs to move the masses around, regardless of whether we're talking about a specific religion or any other kind of ideology. Belief systems tend to have codes of morality. And this morality tends to be a list of social contracts based on society of the time and either written into religious law or written to clarify a law or favor one belief over the other. An example would be how perhaps two little verses in the Bible, one in the Old Testament and one in the New Testament, are used as arguments against homosexuality because the society at the time wasn't openly tolerating homosexuality, as I'm sure we all know. In contrast, divorce was mentioned countless times in the Bible, many times by Jesus himself. And yet, since the 1980s, divorce is hardly mentioned anymore in church. No one had a problem with homosexuality because of the Bible. They used texts from the Bible to uphold what society felt at the time. If society hadn't cared, those verses would have been lost, seldom read laws like many other laws we no longer pay any attention to. Divorce has become a normal, accepted thing in this society, so many verses in the Bible are now ignored. The point being that the general morality of the religious believers of the time is based on the exact same set of laws as 30 years ago or 100 years ago. But how the law is interpreted and enforced depends on where everybody's head is at the time. Many stories are written of enlightened people touching the divine in various ways. Jesus fasting in the desert, the Buddha meditating underneath the Bodhi tree, Muhammad receiving his revelations in a cave. It's not that important to my internal belief system whether any of them existed, or if they performed miracles, or if they lived perfectly virtuous lives, whether they were God, or an avatar of God, or the Son of God, or a prophet of God, how precisely they died and where they are now. None of that is what I use to create my ultimate view of the world in my head. I have my own personal beliefs on Jesus Christ, the Buddha, Lao Tzu, all of them. But my opinion is useless to anyone but me. It's a guess, based on the research I've done, the people I've met, and how I just feel about things. So the stories themselves don't necessarily play into my omnism the same way it would if I was an exclusive Christian reading the Bible or a Buddhist or whatever. All those systems have things I do and don't agree with. And some of them are probably accurate interpretations of the original religion they're representing. And some have probably been tampered with over the years. But that doesn't matter to me. I genuinely don't care if things have been changed here and there. Why? Because for me, it's not the book or the God or the religion which somehow denotes me as a spiritual being. What's important is what I glean from all those sources, all those belief systems. Some of it was learning what was bad about them. Some of it was about the truth I found in them. And some of it was the practical application of their practices into my own spiritual life. Prayer, meditation, vision questing, all that sort of thing. No matter what, it always taught me something. It taught me what people respond to in religion, what they're trying to find. Truth, peace, salvation, an empowering story, protection from death or bad luck or general disaster. Some people like being controlled. For other people, a powerful belief system makes them feel in control, feel special, empowered. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. We get the same thing from education, from patriotism, from family, from community. I've always found some ugliness in religions, internal politics, self-righteousness, hypocrisy. To say nothing of things people involved with the church organizations do. The money gouging, the shady business practices. Did I mention hypocrisy? The child abuse. And I'm not picking on any particular religion there. Church leaders, priests, and pastors, etc., just like politicians and CEOs and celebrities, are all vulnerable to abusing their positions to do the horrible things their position allows them to get away with. Any organization of any kind will tend to have certain types of people in certain positions, and some of those people will do bad things, just like teachers and bosses and therapists. It's just the way it is. This is why when people ask me questions like, do you include this or that religion in Omnism? You know, the kind of religion some might deem to be a bad religion? I tend to sigh under my breath because I know they're already missing the point. I'm using all those stories and aspects of God, in whatever form they are, to make a picture in my head. And those pictures are blurry and imperfect because my own ability to understand them in their best form is limited. And by best form, I mean I'm trying to figure out what that religion is on its best day, not what it is on its worst day. There will always be some which hit me harder and mean more to me than other religions, for a variety of reasons, ranging from where I was born to what religion I was raised with to the various ways I encountered other religions and under what circumstances. So I have my own spiritual life, and I also have the model in my head of how the universe really works. What is life really about? What will happen after I die? What is the nature of God? I can't know those things for sure, but using reason and science, philosophy, and faith, I make my own somewhat malleable picture, which I know very well is imperfect. My meaning in life shifts and has always shifted. The importance of career, family, friends, spirituality, personal accomplishments. How do I balance all my wants and needs? What's the right mix of all those things? What kind of life do I want to live? My belief system is still similar to what I believed as a child, but only in certain ways. My devotion to truth and what I believe to be right is the same, but my way of seeing those values has always changed and will probably change for the rest of my life. And that's okay. The truth is, I think we all do the same thing in different ways. We like to think we're consistent, but none of us really are. And that really is all right. We are humans. That means we all have to figure this stuff out. And while I do believe we're all born with a sense of truth, I also think it takes a lifetime to be whomever it is we're meant to be. Not the person at the end, but the person all along the way. So I'm in no hurry. Give yourself a break and realize we are all on the same journey, and none of us is ahead of the other, because we're all on different paths with different obstacles to overcome. It's a personal race, so give the person next to you a break as well. I'm the Urban Omnist, still trying to make sense of this crazy place.